name is the Time Machine. This thing takes so much time, it's a time machine. And so I was like, well, I have also a love of history, plus I'm a geologist. And so Time Machine was certainly the absolute name. And then I'm in Portland, Oregon, and there's this stack of antique photos. And I see this photo from 1926, April 1926, and this guy, Fred, after his surgery. Okay, so Fred had his own traveling machine, and Fred wrecked his really badly. And so there was a photo of Fred with a little comment that he's in recovery here with his bandages on his head and his arm, and he's in his bathrobe. And I had to buy that for the whole $1 that it cost and mount it in the van.
Hello, this is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel here in beautiful Brick Township, New Jersey, and I met up with Irv, and Irv has a really cool DIY Promaster camper van conversion that he's been traveling in full time for the last 6 months. He's going to give us a tour today, so join us. Hello, Irv, and welcome to New Jersey Outdoor Adventures.
Hey Patrick, thanks for having you. My name's Irv, as you just said, and I'm really excited to show you my build and tell you a little bit about it and a little bit about my travels. So what you're looking at here is a Ram Promaster 2018 2500. It's a 159-inch non-extended with the high roof, as you can see, pretty obvious. Bought it in pretty good quality. Made some additions mechanically, which I'll get into. But overall, it's all DIY with a friend of mine known as the Wizard. He deserves his own channel. And we sat and we thought it all out. And I think that we put together, and I've actually shown by my own 6 months of experience, that we put together something really, really special. And I hope you think so too. First thing I want to show you is some windows that we installed. I'd never installed a window in a van myself, but I did. And I can tell you that those YouTube tutorials, they make it look really easy, and that's all I'll say about that. All right, then we go here past the sliding door here, you'll see that it's got this homemade mosquito screening. What you find is if you go online to buy these, it'll cost you $600 per door. I just simply got some neodymium bar magnets, some duct tape, and some real high quality screen, and on the road built my own. And it really works great. The flooring, before we enter, you can see is a Home Depot flooring, just your typical vinyl wood floor that was installed on top of a foam mat for both installation and comfort, of course. And of course, the foam mat is on top of I think it's a 1/2 inch, maybe the 3/4 inch plywood base for both stability and of course protection. You know, if you look at other vans, you'll see that this van was really built for space and light. I'm a kind of guy that I just really wanted simplicity and efficiency. So I wanted to make a van that had all the storage features, all of the other features that you need, but I wanted it real simple. And thinking that maybe in the future it would be necessary to go ahead and move some things, I even pre-drilled some holes into the floor so that if you wanted to put an additional cabinet or even move the sink, the way the plumbing is set up, it's all very easy to just move things around. So that's here also. Step stool. Yeah, this is just a commercial step stool. It's really great. You can change the height on it as you need. Just get in and out of the van without a problem. In the back, I've got some tarp and things like that I've put down just to feel at home when you're, you know, in some desert sands or something. Why don't you come on in and pass my little rug here? So we enter the van here, and again, I want to emphasize the you know, what we did was like space and light. There are no lights on in here. And the first thing you come to, if we start from the back, is the bed. It's a full double bed. And we really elegantly went ahead and put together an extender. It extends additional 20 inches out. Just pull the mattress all the way, and you've got yourself a full double. No problems whatsoever. Cabinetry for clothing storage, for book storage, or anything. It's right here. This is, believe it or not, IKEA cabinets, which we actually modified. We cut them to fit into the side of the van wall. All the finishing that you're looking at here in terms of wood is just simple, high-quality birch plywood. Really expensive. I guess you all heard the news about lumber going on up. And then everything finished as necessary. This is a reading lamp. This is already set up with a bungee. It really works. It's very comfortable. It's very easy. And this is something that I discovered on my trip. You want easy. Oh, yeah. The entire van, front to back, including over the top of the cab, is insulated with Havelock wool. It's the wool that they sell specifically for van life. I believe it's an R7 to R13, depending on how many layers. This has a lot in it. It's all here. You've got LED lights forming a row. Like I said, there's a reading light, and there's also a kitchen light that actually runs off of 110 to be independent from the system. This is something that I discovered everybody wants to have. You gotta have this. This is a leveler. It's really good to know how level your van is, because while it doesn't look level, while they look level, or even at the moment feel level, you pop into bed or you go to take a shower and you find out you're not that level. So there's a leveler here. I'm a safety freak, so we've got carbon monoxide alarm right here, and we've got a smoke alarm right here. Over here is another window that I cut in, no comment. This piece of Velcro here, again, you want to be able to do this, you could easily do it yourself. It comes with the van, it doesn't really matter, but it's just Velcroed on. This side for when it's cold out will take light and keep things warm. Got too much sun, find yourself in the desert, you want to go this side and reflect light. It's also insulated with some quilting. Really quite simple. Again, a real cost saver. Got a 3-speed Dometic fan. 3 in, 3 out. Opens up full. Forward and back switch, 3-speed. Easy to keep clean. This screen comes off with no problem. To number 1, clean the screen, which you want to do. And number 2, clean the blades and around. Because my record is 7 days off grid. And depending on where you are, in this case, I was up in the forests. It gets dirty with bugs, with tree fall, things like that. And of course, out in the desert, we could talk about dust. Again, we would need about a half an hour to describe the different kinds of dust in the desert of America. This is like one of my pride and joys here. So one of the things that we wanted to do here was to have a very clean, very efficient, and once again, I like the idea of being able to be flexible for upgrades. So we built a panel, a hinged panel, that controls all the 12 volt with the exception of the refrigerator, which I'll talk about in a minute. So we've got the fan, we have our lights, we have a cell booster, which I'll talk about soon. We have a water pump that runs all the water, obviously. And very important for the gas heater, the gas water heater, this is a solenoid switch. Solenoid switch is, how shall I put it, essential to the safety of your system. And this gas system, because of my nature, it was built extremely safe and to standards. Ask the wizard, he'll tell you. Right here, very simple, pop-up table for eating. I worked from this van. I'm a professional English as a foreign language instructor for adults, specifically with business. So I teach international business people. And this was really my setup here. Basically all I do was I utilize very simple camp chairs that I just store in the back and bring in here. And sometimes I leave them in here. Just sit down in your camp chair and get to work or eat your dinner, whatever. Below the bed, again, storage is really important. I estimate, and I think fairly accurately, that 2 people can easily have all of their things in here. easily. But I wanted a combination of open door storage and drawer storage. So I've got 4 drawers on this side, again all IKEA. They just simply press and open. They come back, and I have 2 separate swing doors here. Again, I really like them. They hold, they don't do anything, you hit them. Open cabinetry is important in a van. Oh, in between, I couldn't resist this. I wanted a bench. I wanted bench seating as well. So I found a nice little bamboo bench seat that actually has storage online. That has storage inside. So really simple, and it made a great compartment for my refrigerator, which you can see is bungeed in. Again, this is not hooked up to the panel. 2 reasons. 1, it has its own very simple on-off switch. But number 2, I just wanted to be able to unplug it, take it out, do what I want to do with it. So what you can see here is it just comes out. Again, the upgrade would be a slide if you have to have something like that. It just comes out, you could pull it out, it doesn't weigh much. I believe it's a 20 or 21 quart. It acts as a freezer as well. Totally programmable and runs off of Bluetooth, which was really amazing. Okay. Behind here, I put in access to the garage, but the real access that I wanted to is to be able to put in the wardrobe. So I built a wardrobe under the bed as well. Here, again, for simplicity and efficiency, I have an inverter charger that we'll talk about, but there's the remote switch for the inverter charger. And also there's a DC to DC battery charger. Instead of hooking it up to the ignition, I've just got a simple switch in the back that you can turn it on when you're prepared to use it. So if we move on, I know that you heard me mention hot water and a shower. So you're saying, well, where is the shower? And first I want to tell you that I thought that a shower was essential, and some people might still agree with me. And here is the shower and toilet. Very simply, what I installed here, which is one of the better Thetfords, it's called their Porta Potty, and it's got a fancy number associated with it. It's actually electric flush, okay? And you could pull it out if you want. I just swing the door open. We designed these doors. I'm going to pull it out for you to see how the shower works, because the shower is too cool, all right? So, if you look here, we installed a shower pan that runs underneath the van into a 15-gallon Greywater tank. So that Greywater tank holds all of your effluent if you're in a situation where you don't want to dump directly to ground. And I recommend being environmentally conscious when it comes to that, by the way. You don't want to do things that you wouldn't want done. Anyhow, there in its glory is the shower pan. Well, so what happens here is, what I've done for myself, because I wanted to see how it worked, is I've got shower curtains that I take out and I attach to these hooks, and the shower falls right in here, and you step in, you go ahead and set this up very, very simply, very easily, with a shower head that connects here, and you take a shower. When you're done, the whole thing dismantles. It's about, once you get used to it, I'm going to say it's about a 10-minute process at most. The real trick is, got to get used to taking a shower in a van. It really comes down to that. At first it seemed like a daunting experience, but in fact it's nothing. Anyhow, I just do want to know the shower, the sink head here comes off, and the shower head hooks directly to here. You have both your hot and cold water controls. And we'll be looking at the water heater shortly. We really built this for structural integrity. So we move on to the kitchen. Kitchen, again, IKEA cabinetry, really ample. Got one above. Still see some of my food in here. Everything you need can fit in here, really, with extra space, frankly. Below that is I ran into a fellow that was rebuilding his turn-of-the-century Victorian, and he gave me a plank of cherry wood. I couldn't resist putting that shelf up there, so I did. But the kitchen here. So what's happening here? Well, we have a drop-down leaf, obviously. Butcher block from Lowe's, installed, treated, etc. Nice deep sink. Again, the sink drains directly to the 15-gallon Greywater tank, hot and cold water faucets, independent of course. The cabinetry below is again IKEA. This has so much room I don't even know what to say. Right now it's fully equipped with pots and pans, kettles, an electrical burner in case it's needed, cleaning equipment. It holds a tremendous amount of materials. It's got a lot of space in it. Everything was designed to just keep space utilized. I have upgraded. I've created this. This is a propane hose connected to copper, which connects to our propane source that we'll talk about. It's for an upgrade. I didn't know if I'd want to put in a real live propane stove. I think I mentioned I'm kind of safety conscious. I really wasn't ready yet to commit to that. So what I have instead is I have this really great Eureka butane burner. I can't recommend anything more highly. It does everything, and it does it quick and hot. It's really cool and really simple to use, and got a great reputation. This was built here. What this is just another drop down. Creates storage for when you're parked, for what if you want to go ahead and put something up here that's already cooked. This moves out of the way very easily, as you can see. You don't have to cook underneath this. One of the reasons why I decided to purchase the Promaster is because it's really, really well known for having great over-the-cab storage, and it really does. And what I have in mind is very simple. Besides, actually, you know, I've emptied a lot of this out, but what I keep in here is, number one, for air conditioning. I discovered online these little tiny portable evaporative coolers that actually work in the desert. This is another do-it-yourselfer window cover for the outside slider. Again, it's all set up with magnets, etc. Just opens and installs with a... It actually installs itself. The magnets are neodymium and very strong. Pop out of your hand. This is a WeBoost DriveX cellular booster. I teach online, I work online. This takes a cell signal and boosts it and amplifies it, and then I work directly off of my cell phone. Just hook it up for Wi-Fi with a Wi-Fi broadband contract, and I was able to work just about anywhere. Doesn't work high in the mountains in the national park because there is no signal. You have to have a signal to get it to work. This is a custom built attachment that just attaches in to the window on the passenger door. Passenger door goes up and it raises this well above the level of the roof and grabs your signal. This never failed me. The other thing is, well, how do you heat the van? So my decision was, because I have ample electrical power, is I just went ahead and purchased just your standard, you know, buy off the shelf at a hardware store or Walmart or Costco, etc. But you got to check the wattage, of course. So I bought a standard low watt. Okay, so the maximum wattage that you would use here would be 1500, which, well, that's not low, but actually it's got 3 settings. So one is actually quite low. I think it was 750 watts. So 750 watts was ample for this space here. All right, we're only talking about a van, okay? You know, we got this amount of space and this amount of space. And you don't have to the front, because what this comes with was blackout curtain. That covers space. And kind of creates an isolated space. And I ran this all night. Still had plenty of battery left to get started and going in the morning for the things that I needed, and then throughout the day with solar, etc. Yeah, well insulated, low ceiling. It really does the trick. This way I was able to at least keep in budget the alleged need for a very expensive propane heater, or what I did want to use, which is one of the portable propane heaters. You know, I just want to add, I put everything up here. Just, you know, whether it be towels or I'm working on my computer and I'm too lazy to put it away, I throw it up there. It's really deep. It's got a lot of room. It's very surprising how much room it is. But if we continue, just want to come down, install the full swivel seat, And then on top, below it, in order to comfortably sit, got a nice little box seat here. But the box seat also doubles as a shoe and other storage compartment. So it just flips up in front of you and you can put in shoes. Don't have to wear shoes inside the van and get things all messy. Just pop them in. Something which I would really recommend having, it seems like common sense, is a windshield cover. Get yourself an insulated windshield cover. If you don't get it here, you know, basically, you're not looking at a lot of expense, but it does a lot to keep that front cab cool and also to keep it warm. Don't overestimate the importance of keeping your van warm during the day. Over here is space that was created behind the driver's seat, and that space was for a very simple stool, mainly used to get in and out of bed when necessary, because I'm old. And it's also actually quite helpful outside. There is a ladder that I'll show you, but just for getting up a little bit higher on the side of the van, this is a lot easier. Also behind here, I had this idea, like, how many tables do you want, right? Again, I was really into this concept of wide open space as much as possible. So all I did was get your typical TV dinner, quote-unquote, coffee tables. And these just simply open up, and they're perfect for indoor-outdoor. They can make another cook table. I've got two of them. You can sit outside with them in a camp chair. They're just great. Again, I repeat myself, but the whole idea was flexibility and upgrade in design, simplicity, and lots of space. Pretty obvious the choice here was, rather than create a bulkhead all the way across the van, there's open space for direct access, which is really great. You pull over, you need something, you get it, you go back to your car. Last but not least, the 120 volt system. There's 4 of these in each corner of the van here. This one is equipped with 2 USB ports, and then obviously your 2 plug-ins. Want to point out that the van comes with all kinds of these hooks. These magnetic hooks, they make life in a van incredible. I just want to point out, the more magnets you have, the prettier it looks. That's a joke, and the easier it is. So before I get out of here, I'm going to make one thing clear. You say, well, all this electrical, where is it? So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to what people would say is the heart of the system, which is the electrical and plumbing, and we'll start with the electrical. While we're walking past it, I do want to point out to you right here that we've installed a shore charger. Okay, so you have a choice of either using shore power, but there's also an inverter charger in here that charges the batteries. We're going to take a look at that right now. Welcome to the garage. The garage was built completely with the idea of having lots and lots of space, and it does. So the bed is slightly elevated to be able to fit everything and more. And what you're seeing in here, for example, is there's a lot of extras in here that I don't always travel with, but I just wanted you to see how much room there is, and all that is part of the van itself. What I like to think of as a van toolbox, 9-foot ladder, 50 feet of electrical charge cable, and we'll stick with the electrical first. Oh, again, do it yourself. Simple attach, and you've got shades done. I'll just save you $600. All right, so what are we looking at here? So if you look up top, there are 2 180 watts Newpowas connected in parallel. Instead of drilling through the van, I told you I'm not crazy about holes. It comes in through the rear camera container and then through the rear horizontal ribs, and then comes down here and connects to a Renogy 40 amp battery charge controller, known as a Rover. And of course, everything is appropriately breakered and wired according to absolute standards, manufacturer standards, as well as industry standards. That goes through buses into a 200 amp hour Ames lithium battery. In addition, I have a 2000 watt Renogy inverter charger. That does two functions. When you plug in, it charges the battery, and it also runs to 120 volt. And there's just what I discovered in my travels, ample power for everything I described to you, including the 110 120 volt panel, as well as the heaters, charging your computer, charging your phone, all those things that you got to make a list of and keep in mind when you're doing all this, because you can't run out of power. If you want to live a little bit of an off-grid life, one of the concerns that I think is right is I don't want to run out of power. All right, we've talked about the electrical. Let's talk about the gas system. So first thing I did, again, I mentioned safety. This is a sealed and vented appropriately, propane locker here. It holds a 9-gallon tank of propane. There's the solenoid that I referenced that is switched off the 12 volt panel. Nothing runs off this propane tank unless that solenoid is switched on. There will be no gas in the lines. Again, that is sealed and vented to the bottom, out the bottom of the van. Hot water is supplied by this Gasoline on-demand tank. It's vented to the outside. What I do is I crack this door either slightly or fully to get hot water either for the kitchen and or the shower. While we're talking about that shower, there is an outdoor shower as well. Hot water runs off of that. You can see here this copper line. That's the copper line that connects and then goes up to the kitchen for installation of a propane stove, an oven in the future. But if we follow the water lines, we get to talk about the water system. Water system, it's got a 25-gallon storage tank connected to a water pump and accumulator. Of course, everything goes through a strainer. Got a vented fill, 50 feet of fill hose, covers a good distance, stores nice and flat. Purposely bought this, stores really flat. 2 pieces of Velcro, your best friend in a van. Lots of Velcro in these containers. And then I have two filters here for inline when filling. One's a spare, but I kind of use them interchangeably. All right, you want to know what that is? It's my personal pee jug, so I don't have to just open the toilet all the time. You can either buy one of these things like really expensive from a camping store, or here's the hint for you. Go to a laboratory that does urology specimens and get a specimen can. True story. All right, what else can I say? Oh yeah, ample under the bed storage. I just want you to take a look here. I do want to move a few things for you. Look, a lot of this is for show. This is all, I don't travel with a lot of this, but I've been kind of living in and out of the van lately. So I just want you to see, there's a lot of extras that go. There's extra fuses and extra breakers and things like that. Drill, tarp for the ground, 9-foot extension ladder. This is my van toolbox. Contains a bunch of simple tools that you want to have with you. Lots of room. And then, of course, like I said, one of the things I wanted to do was to be able to hang my clothes, not just my sports jacket, but my cold weather gear, etc. And I do.
Herb, thank you very much for taking the time today to give us a tour of your beautiful creation. Can you walk our viewers through some of the challenges that you had moving into the van lifestyle?
Yeah, there were some. They were kind of different sort of categories. One is living and one is operating. If I start with living, I think that being a pretty high energy Jersey boy myself, got to get used to slowing down. Whereas if you're at home or wherever, you're used to things being kind of instantaneous. Whereas in a van, everything takes just a little bit longer, needs a little bit more setup time, a little bit more getting used to space. So that was an adjustment. It wasn't bad, but it was clearly an adjustment. So there's definitely that lifestyle, getting to know your van, getting to know your space and what it can do. And sometimes you're real positively surprised. I mentioned that the other thing is kind of like operations, right? So, if you want to use water and you want to do it safe and effectively, you got to turn on a switch, right? So you turn on a switch, and that runs the pump, and then you turn on the heater, okay? And that gives you hot water. So there's a whole kind of process, an operational process, which I guess you could call lifestyle, but I tend to call it operation. So there's more of that. The most important thing that I found that wasn't a challenge, but you know how you get used to like seeing everybody's set up vans and things like that, and they're like really super organized, etc., etc. Well, it's really true that you kind of be organized. But what I found for myself is you got to find a balance between organization and having fun. So there's just so much organizing you can do, and then there's so much fun you can have, and I swing the arrow towards fun. So that's really what I found. In terms of building the van, I mean, we can go another hour interviewing. It was nowhere near as simple as I thought it was going to be, especially someone like me who's got minimal experience with tools and building. Again, I had the wizard. But I will say that the build, both in terms of the time, the effort, and the money, was really, really a challenge.
Did you go onto YouTube and watch other people's builds and get some ideas from there?
I did. I watched a lot of those great YouTube tutorials, and some of them were very worthwhile. And I nothing against anybody. Anybody that makes YouTubes is fantastic. And some of them were not. I certainly went to many websites. There was a lot of time spent determining quality equipment for the money that could or could not be spent. Design, what works best here, there, or anywhere. So it wasn't like, one day waking up, making a sketch, and going to work. There was a tremendous amount of effort put into design, and a lot of that was supported by YouTube videos and websites.
So now that you've been traveling for the last 6+ months, what's next?
What's next is I am done with the United States for now. Most of my experience has been international, and I'm going to sell the van.
And the van has a name?
It does.
You said it to me off camera. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the name is the Time Machine, and it got its name honestly. For one thing, my friend that I keep referencing that helped me build, I'm not joking about time budgeting, money budgeting, but at one point he said, and I can't repeat it because it's not polite language, but it had to say, "This thing takes so much time, it's a time machine." And so I was like, whoa. I have also a love of history, plus I'm a geologist. And so Time Machine was certainly the absolute name. And then I'm in Portland, Oregon, and there's this stack of antique photos. And I see this photo from 1926, April 1926, and this guy, Fred, after his surgery. Okay, so Fred had his own traveling machine, and Fred wrecked his really badly. And so there was a photo of Fred with a little comment that he's in recovery here with his bandages on his head and his arm, and he's in his bathrobe. And I had to buy that for the whole $1 that it cost and mount it in the van. So yeah, kept me safe. So there you go. Yeah, so it's the Time Machine. So a lot of my traveling, I love visiting historical sites all over the world, and that certainly applies to the United States, and we've got some great places. the early part of my trip, I actually tracked the length of the Potomac River Canal, the Ohio canal that goes from Washington D.C. all the way out to Western Maryland. And I stopped at all the little towns along the way, kind of just tracing that point of history. It was really cool. And, you know, you learn all kinds of things, meet all kinds of people. It was very, very cool.
The site that we met here today happens to be a pretty historic site here in New Jersey. This is one of the oldest native Lenape American campsites here, right on this piece of property.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's a truly special site, and they're in the back of this property. I've filmed there many times before.
Yeah, I especially, well, that's really funny that you said that, because I went up the Hudson River. Like, I really did a real shakedown before heading west. And I went up the Hudson River and visited a lot of Native American sites, and also sites that were related to the two wars that involved the participation of Native Americans, colonialists and British Army, namely up in upstate New York, the Revolutionary War sites, and then the sites related to the French and Indian Wars, which some will argue was one of the precursors of the Revolution, when the colonists were taxed for the cost of that war.
I'd like to thank you again for taking the time today. I'm going to link, because I found this online for sale, so I'm going to link to your ad.
Oh, great.
That way, any of the viewers that are interested in finding out a little bit more about it, they could get to it. And we'll take that link down once it does sell.
All right, great.
But this is Patrick with New Jersey's Outdoor Adventures YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, comment, share, and subscribe. I love it. And we'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.